Welcome to Mad Zen. This is a open-minded, sex-positive lifestyle philosophy, if you will, website based to ask people those questions and give you those ideas on how to live a life where you can be happy with you, regardless of society norms and regardless of how you were raised or any of those other things. It's the opportunity to stop, reevaluate who you are and who you want to be versus who you were and who you were told to be. So, welcome aboard. This section is the third tenet. It is titled, "We All Look at the Same Sky." Now, it's an old Middle Eastern style phrase, and it really boils down to the concept of no matter what you believe in, we all look to the same sky when we're asking for help, when we're doing whatever you want to call prayer or whatever. There's a classic quote, "We all look at the same sky, but we all see a different horizon." I like the first half of the phrase a little bit better simply because it is more in line with the idea of no matter how small the details, we really all have more in common than we have things that divide us and separate us. We all have hopes and dreams. We all have aspirations. We all want to matter. We all want to be loved and to love. We all want to, have some sort of purpose in our lives, and we want others to acknowledge and recognize us for that. We want to protect and provide for the people we care about. Those are all things that every person has in common, no matter where in the world they are. The things that divide us are usually tiny, detailed versions of rules about how the way we go for those things is different than how someone else goes for the exact same thing. So there's no reason to actually feel different. The end goal of we all want to be loved and we all want to love. Well, just because someone over there, they love differently than you do, doesn't mean yours is wrong and theirs is right or vice versa. The end goal is the same. You want to be loved and you want to give your love to whoever in whatever way you want to. The details aren't important. If you look at the bigger picture, you just want to be loved. So who cares how you go about it? But the world is built on a very oppressive system where the norm tells you there's only certain ways that are okay. And it doesn't matter where you're from or how you're raised, somebody is always telling you that the way you're doing it isn't right simply because it's different from how they do it. And it would be fine if we kept that to ourselves. Oh, you don't like the way that I do this? Okay, that's your problem, not mine. As long as you keep that to yourself and you don't oppress me and push that I'm wrong because I'm different than you, especially if you don't try and make laws that prohibit my ability and remove my rights to love the way I want to love and love who I want to love. As long as you keep it to yourself and you don't mess with my right to live my way, then I'm fine with you. You can be as different as you want to be because I do see the bigger picture. We both want the same thing. We just go about it in a different way. When you do try and make those oppressive things and you try and outlaw or, just straight up hate on me for the way that I do mine just because it's different, that's where we have a problem. And there's a different section, the action equals belief portion of this that is a call to action and says, do something about that. But this one right here is more open your eyes, and whether someone else is hating on you or you honestly are doing it to someone else and you may not have realized it, take a moment, take a deep breath, and look at the things that you're being oppressed for or you're hating on someone else for, and look at the root of it. If you're hating someone for their sexuality, stop and ask yourself why. Because realistically, it boils down to they want to be happy with someone and they want someone to be happy with them. If you're allowed to do that for yourself, why are you thinking you're better than them? They're just doing it in a different way. And if you want to get weird about it and get scientific about it, I've had people ask, well, they're like, oh, just as an example, I had a very religious friend who said, well, I want to be open-minded, but gay people are just wrong. It's a choice and they choose the wrong choice. I was like, okay, in theory, which I don't believe this, but in theory, say you were correct. When did you choose to be straight? Because if they're choosing to be gay, that means everyone had to choose their sexuality. So on what day when you were a young lad and you weren't thinking about sex at all, you're just out there, catching frogs or whatever it is that you do when you're a kid, what day did you stop and go, I'm now going to be a sexual person, and I was told heterosexual is the only way to be, so I'm going to choose to be attracted to the opposite sex. And sproing, your body reacts because you made that choice. When did that happen? And they just look at me like I'm dumb. And I stop them, and I was just like, yeah, it's a dumb question, isn't it? They're like, well, yeah. I was like, yeah. You and I, we were both, this friend of mine, we both went to high school together, and we were both in gym class, and we had the same awkward moment of a girl in a swimsuit, and our body reacted. Now, it wasn't the other way around. We didn't decide that we were straight, and then we reacted to seeing the opposite sex. Oh, no. We weren't thinking about sex. We were kids. We were doing kid things. And at one point, our bodies changed, and the chemicals running through us changed, and we see a girl that we could have seen just a week before and had no reaction. And now we look at her, and sproing, something's happening, and we're like, oh shit, what is this? What is going on here? It is a physical reaction that told us what we're attracted to. It wasn't the other way around. It wasn't a choice. It was a realization. And that's for everyone's sexuality, no matter where you are. Now, sure, there are sexual acts and there's kinks and things like that where you choose to go, like, explore it more and that sort of thing. But the true foundation of our sexuality and how we feel gender-wise and those various things, those are chemical. You feel it, your body reacts a certain way, and that's what gets you to notice it. The body reacts first, and then you start to try and make some sense out of, what are you reacting to? Why am I reacting like this? What does this mean for me? So when I pointed that out to him, he's an open-minded guy. He was just raised very strict, and he stopped and he goes, that's a good point. I never chose to be attracted to girls. So I guess they didn't choose to be attracted to the same sex. And I was like, you guess? You either get it or you don't, right? If you didn't choose, they didn't choose. So are they okay to tell you you're wrong for liking the opposite sex, even though you didn't choose to? It just happened. Your body reacted and you just knew, okay, well, I guess this is what my body likes. Okay. And you just kind of went from there. The only advantage you had is that society agreed with you and never gave you grief for it. Whereas any other group, the majority of society they agree that it's okay to look down on them because they're not the majority. Well, that's bullshit. We all know it's bullshit. You just haven't stopped to think about it. So part of this is really, we all look at the same sky. You don't need religion. You don't need rules. You just need to recognize that all people everywhere have the same basic needs and goals and dreams. The details don't matter. We yell at each other about religion, but really, if you remove the rules, the tiny little detailed things that make and cause wars, they all have one simple thing in common. Do unto others as you would have others do unto you. Be a good person, right? If you boil away all the rules, that's the one thing they all have in common. If we could just stick with that one and get rid of the rest, then it doesn't matter if they use a different name for theirs or they want to eat a different thing. Any God worth believing in wouldn't give you eternal damnation just because you got the wrong title for the God that you are following. You live a great life, but you got the wrong name. Eternal damnation. It's a very silly process. Now, I'm not saying that religion for you as an individual is wrong. I'm saying organized religion and the rules behind organized religion are the number one cause of bigotry and oppression across the globe. I've never in my life heard of a story of a teenager committing suicide because their atheist parents said that they were wrong for being who they are. But you hear countless cases of a kid who is not the norm for their parents' religion, and that shame and guilt they feel is overwhelming. They can't be honest with themselves, they can't be honest with anyone else. They're living a lie, and they feel like they're going to burn in hell for this lie, all over some dumb rule that doesn't have anything to do with anything. It doesn't have any basis in reality or anything else, but that pressure is so much that people end their lives over this kind of thing. That's a huge problem that this life philosophy, no, get rid of all of that bullshit. If you want to follow some rules for yourself, fine, whatever. But don't push it on anyone else, and accept the fact that no matter how differently someone's doing something, look at the root of what they're doing. Are they just trying to be loved? Well, then that's the same thing you're trying to do, so be okay with it. Are they just trying to provide for and protect the people they care about? If they're doing it in a different way than you and it doesn't affect you, it doesn't oppress you, well, then let it go. Let people be different. They want to do a different fashion style. They want to live a different way. They want to love a different way. Who cares? It is still boiling down to we're all fulfilling those same basic human needs of I want to matter. I want to care about someone. I want someone to care about me. I want to protect the people I care about and provide for them. And I want to matter. I want to feel like my life meant something. No matter how we go about it, accept that those things are fundamental, and those are way more important than the little details of what makes us go after those goals in a different way. So when I say we all look at the same sky, that's what I mean. Those same basic human needs, regardless of the horizon you're looking at, we're all looking to the same sky when we make those cries at night of how do I do this? Who am I? Do I matter? Why am I here? Those questions are the same questions everyone's asking, regardless of the title of who you think is going to answer them or the details of how you go about finding that meaning and finding that love. We have more in common than we have that separates us, and that's what I mean by that. So hopefully you can stop, take that moment, and reevaluate the people hating on you or the hate you're giving to someone else. Stop and re-examine that and see, is it worth putting that out there? And if you're receiving it, man, they just don't see that you have those things in common. They're focused on the details. Don't worry about them. Focus in on what makes you happy and live that life regardless of what they say. So welcome to Mad Zen. And if you have comments or questions, absolutely go to the chat section and let me know. I answer every question that's sent to me. I won't publish the answers to anything or the questions unless you tell me it's okay to do so. And welcome to Mad Zen.